right? And I'm guilty of it too. I overdo it often. What's it gonna look like in your mind, right? Maybe this guy came down in here and, oh, remember that little valley I told you about? We've just created it right there, little smiley face, little sledding. If you were gonna go sledding down this mountain, would you wanna come straight down the edge? Tap, 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 tap. Bringing it down. This is how you paint 999 trees. We're gonna start slapping up, back and forth, right to left. So when I come up to my shadows, I just wanna touch very softly. Hi, welcome back to Paint with Josh. You look gorgeous today, girl. Oh, how am I supposed to sit up here and paint with you looking like that, right? My goodness, forget about you. Let's do this 16 by 20 inch canvas today with 4 colors. That's all we used, and it turned out fantastic. You obviously think so. That's why you clicked on the link and you want to learn how to paint this one. So check the description down below. Make sure you get all the colors you need. Make sure you get your canvas nice and wet. Get ready to throw some paint on it. We're going to do it just like this. Boom. And then that's a perfect take. You see that? Oh, hey there. You just caught me putting on the last little bit of our liquid white. If you don't know what Bob Ross liquid white is, it looks a whole lot like this. Comes in a big old jar, and it'll last you for quite a few paintings because you don't need a whole lot. All right, I'm actually going to grab a little bit out of here and put it into my Petri dish. If this is your first time watching, you don't know what the Petri dish is. It's my little cup full of liquid white and all these other little colors that have kind of gotten stuck in there over the years, right? And then every so often it gets so dirty that we have to replace it. So, go through the colors that we have today. So we have our Phthalo blue, Alizarin crimson, midnight black, and titanium white. All right, going to use 4 colors for this painting today. Is all we're going to need. We've already taken the canvas and put Bob Ross liquid white across the entire thing. And that way it's nice and slick and ready to go. And a good way to check is if you look up and down the whole thing, you'll be able to see where it's dry and where it's wet. All right, I always like to prep the sides just a little bit for the person who buys it, and they don't have to frame it. All right, let's clean this old brush off. And again, if this is your first time watching a Paint with Josh video, tell me where you're watching from. And what's your favorite sandwich? I love to know the favorite sandwich question. Or if you don't like sandwiches, what's your favorite pizza or your favorite burger? All right, type it out in the comments. Got our brush all nice and dry and clean and ready to go. So remember, you're going to be able to name this painting at the end of the show here, at the end of the video. So start typing in what you think you would name this painting as we start painting it. And hopefully you'll stick around for the whole thing. And we'll see at the end which one gets to name it. This is painting number 662. So let's go right into our bright blue. And get that bright blue. It's the brighter of the 2 blues. We're going to get a fair amount of it on the brush. Look at that. A good amount onto the brush, right? And then maybe come from the sides. Gonna come from the side. You drop all of your thick color out there. And then you can work it in, right? We're gonna be redoing one of my favorite scenes. It's one of Bob's scenes. My take on one of Bob's scenes anyway. And it keeps selling in my store, so I'm gonna keep painting it until it doesn't sell anymore. And then we'll switch to something else, right? But we'll make this one a little bit brighter and bluer and a little bit more pinky. So let's take our blue and we're gonna take our black. Just a small bit of black though. You don't need a whole lot. Don't need a whole lot of black. Again, come from the side, very straight across, right? If you start at the bottom, you drop all of your dark color and you work its way up and it becomes lighter and lighter and lighter, right? We'll come over here. Again, working from the side, dropping all that dark color and leaving a patch of white right in the middle there. And as long as we don't go over that white too many times, we'll be in good shape, right? And it'll stay nice and bright. And if it doesn't, it's fine. It doesn't have to be, right? Yours doesn't have to look exactly like mine does. Wash the old brush and beat the devil out of it, right? Shake it off into a can, right into the old bucket. And it's got a golf ball basket down in the bottom. That's what I had initially when I very first started painting 4 years ago. And that's the same bucket. The same bucket and the same golf ball basket that's been in there forever. All right, let's switch to a 1-inch brush because it's a little smaller, a little bit more easy to manage and handle. And we're gonna go into our crimson right into here. Just a little bit, don't need a whole lot. See, that's probably even too much. I'm gonna try to mush it off onto the palette down here so it doesn't come up onto the canvas. And maybe put just a little bit of that pinky color right in the center there. Trying to leave a little bit of white around the edge, right? And that way when we start to blend it, everything will move and mix together. We're gonna wash off that old 1-inch brush and put it back, right? Just like that, nice and clean. Very simple. Gotta get yourself a bucket. It's worth it, I'm telling you. All right, we're gonna take our 2-inch brush just like this and go into our lighter area first, right? We're gonna start crisscross stroking back and forth. And you can see why we leave that little band of white around the edge, because it really starts to grow out fast, right? And you can blend yours to whatever lightness or darkness that you want as you start blending these two pinks and blues together with that little bit of white around the edge. It leaves all these little things. That's why ours are going to be different, right? Not going to be 100% the same, and they're not supposed to be 100% the same. You're going to see something when you're trying yours. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be different than mine. And then you're going to post it, and I'm going to go, holy cow, I wish I would have thought of that when I did my version. All right, let's do the sides real quick. Need a little bit of blue over there. All of that. Nice and easy and quick. We just made a gorgeous little sunset-y sort of pinky sky, right? Leaving those little areas of white. Nothing has to be the same color. Nothing. Does not have to be the same. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of the dark black and just drop it on the edge and work from the edge, right? Never putting it directly in the center of the canvas. That would leave too much of a streaky bit that we'd have to blend out, and we'd lose all this gorgeous light color, right? So a couple little swipes of our black, and then we're going to let that work in, but we got to wash it off of our brush. So let's wash the old brush again. That's the best part, cleaning the old brush, beating the devil out of it till it's nice and clean. Just remember, dab it on a paper towel. Just get in the habit of dabbing it out on a paper towel. That way it's not too wet when we come back up here and we start our crisscross strokes, right? We're going to start crisscrossing back and forth until it's just so soft and gorgeous that we can't even tell where the pink starts and where the gray starts or where it ends. Oh, it's fantastic, right? And yours is going to be so great. It's going to be so great. And it's going to be different. I really love all of the new followers, all of the new fans. It's just been so much fun to sit and make videos and interact with you guys, and doing the live thing has just been so much fun. So thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys. Really appreciate it. Remember to follow me February, so hit that follow button. And maybe I might get a few more followers before the end of February, right? All right, let's throw in some nice gorgeous clouds back here, because what's a soft little pink sunset without some gorgeous clouds? Just gorgeous little clouds. Let's take our palette knife, and why don't we mix this up? All right, we're only using really 3 colors in our white, so let's mix up these 3 colors into a little dark, shadowy mixture of this purple. All right, and then once we've done that, we can take that purple and mix it in with a little bit of white and change it to a lighter color purple. And so on and so forth, as many times as you want to go, right? Just over mix your white, though, and that way it's not real white on the bottom. Now we have 2 different colors out of our little color mixture, right? This is the same as that Bob Ross mountain mixture. I just always run out of the mountain mixture first, and then I have to make my own. It's more fun when you make your own anyway. So let's come in here, and now let's go with the white first, right? I'm gonna bring it down just on the one corner of the brush, just like this. You don't have to have a big old giant old fan brush like this, but you know, it helps for making clouds anyway. Bigger, a little bit more paint, you can spread it a little further, right? So let's take that, knock our cameras over, and just come up here. Stay around a little bit of pink, maybe let a little bit of that pink show in there. Maybe pop back over on this side, mush some more of it up. Oof, what does your cloud look like? Oh, that one's gonna be fantastic. Look at that. Leaving that little bit of space for all of it to grow down, right? And now all of our color is off of the brush. It's been replaced with all that blue. That's how you know you got all your color off of the brush well, right? Now we're going to take our nice dry 1-inch brush. We're going to come up here and just start mixing down soft little circles, right? So softly. Oh goodness, it's so sweet. Look at it, mix in with that pink. You start creating all these little gorgeous things that you didn't even know were there. I didn't plan on that to happen, right? It just happens as you're doing it. And as long as you don't overdo it and you can catch yourself, right? And I'm guilty of it too. I overdo it often. I'll be watching my own videos, editing it, and going, Josh, stop painting right now. And I'm sitting up here like this, okay, let's make some more clouds, guys. No, stop painting. And so I'm sitting there yelling at myself. So it takes a little bit of time and practice to figure out when you're actually done and when you should move on, right? And we've all overdone it, and that's no fun. It's no fun when you overdo it, right? So let's take that 2-inch brush like this, We come up here, very flat, little firmness. We're not trying to stretch the paint. We're just trying to soften it just a little bit. Going over, right? Now it's not, any bit of texture has been rubbed out. Nice and soft. Let's go. I got to step back and see how pretty it is back here. Oh, it's excellent. Look at that. All right, let's wash this brush off because I don't want to, actually, you know what? Let's take whatever blue that we got from mixing it in, and you can use that, right? Put it down in here, that little bit of gray. It's like a bluish grayish color. But don't lose all that pink back there, right? And yours is going to be different because you'll have more paint or less paint on your canvas. So it'd be a different little soft little bit of color in there. And it's almost like a new little section of cloud has come and floated in right in front, right? Maybe we connect that a little bit. Or now we'll add a little bit of white down in the front of it. Again, saving some of the original pink that's in there. You don't have to cover up all that pink. You want to save some of it there. Got to save it all, right? Not save it all, but you got to save enough. Let's take our 1-inch brush like this. We come up to the canvas so lightly again with our circles. I don't want the white to blend away all the way, right? The more we blend it, the more it's going to turn pink. So let's very lightly take our circles so softly. Oh, goodness. My goodness. It's fantastic. Look at that. Just excellent. We've created this whole little circular cloud with a pink center. Got a little bit of gray in there. Our differences in color, right? That's what we always talk about. Differences in color. Meaning, even though it's all white and it's all that original pink, we have all these little different shades of white and pink and gray and blue. Every which way. It's fantastic and it's so easy. It's so easy, guys. Put it up there, blend it down. Put the next section, blend it down. Poof, you got clouds. Just like that. Courtesy of Paint with Josh. Thank you. Fill it in. Man, I'm in a good mood tonight. Let's go like this with our palette knife. You don't have to have the Bob Ross palette knife. You could use a plastic knife. I told London I was actually going to paint a mountain with one of our butter knives from downstairs, and I forgot to bring one up. But it's okay. Okay, so we're going to come in here. Let's go with the... actually, we didn't add any of our shadowy purpley color, but that's okay. We'll mix it back up. Mix it back up. Take a little bit more of our crimson, black, and blue, and we'll mix all these guys together, creating that dark, shadowy mixture of a color back there. Bang, 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 bang. All right. Now we're going to scrape through that whole little bit and pick up a nice chunk of paint. You can see it real close to the camera, right? Nice little chunk, a gorgeous little line, sweet little roll of paint, right? We're going to take that and go, boom, knock it to the camera. And who knows, maybe come up over here, start dropping that little roll of paint and just rolling with it, right? What does your mountain look like? Well, we're building it right now. So yours can look a little bit different than mine. It can be taller, it can be sharper, it can be flatter, it can be whatever. It's yours. You do what you want with it, right? Let me come up here. I love having these little like triple peaks, get a little valley in between them. Fantastic. Is fantastic my favorite word? I don't know, maybe. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Ooh, that's a gorgeous looking mountain. See all these little different little peaks and different little spikes, right? When I look at the mountains outside of Las Vegas here, we live in a big bowl and there's mountains on all sides and they're awesome to look at, right? We never get any snow or anything gorgeous on them. They're just old brown, just hot, really hot mountains. And but there's so many little scraggly peaks at the top, even though it's a desert and you get all that wind-blown stuff. So don't make it a straight line is my point, right? Have a few little imperfections on the top, and that way it looks more realistic, to me anyway. To me anyway, right? We're gonna take that old guy, take our 1-inch brush, just like this, come up here, long strokes, let it fall off. And we're deciding what do we want our mountain to look like, right? Maybe this guy started to fall in here, down through that way, right? You decide. What do you want to see? And maybe if you need to add a little bit more of that color, just to help your brain, and you're like, okay, there's a little bit more of a ridge right here, right? And you start to play it out and pick it out. What's it going to look like in your mind, right? Maybe this guy came down in here and, oh, remember that little valley I told you about? We've just created it right there. A little smiley face, a little happy little valley back in there, right? Because you're making a little smiley face. Gorgeous, gorgeous little thing. And now we have these, this is our paint by numbers, right? To fill in where we want our highlights and where we want our shadows. all based on our directional pulls of our brush, right? Like maybe it comes down and all of a sudden now it's connected to that whole little ridge down here, right? Just playing around. We're just making it up as we go. Pulling this way maybe, I don't know, because I want it to look a little different. So let's pull it down this way. We'll have a little ridge over here. Maybe that needs to be a little bit darker with the paint, right? Oh yeah, stand out now. Like seriously, just making it up. Trying not to make it look like every other mountain, right? There's somebody that we watch that, well, I don't watch anybody, but I see him post that paints the same mountains over and over and over and over and over again. I can't stand it. And he's a good painter, but he's just like the same thing backwards all the time. So maybe he'll see this and change his ways, right? All right, we're gonna come down this way. Maybe there's a soft little valley that came into our little ridge. Maybe we pulled down here, who knows? Maybe you decide, right? What does yours look like? Doesn't matter what mine looks like. We're trying to teach you what I paint, what yours looks like. Maybe we came down along this ridge. Ooh, oh, that's gonna be cool. That's gonna be a cool looking mountain, you guys. Right, pulling it like a clock. See, we start over here, we're about, I don't know, 3:30, 4, 4:35, 5:30, 6 o'clock, we're straight down. 6:37, 7:38, we're over here. 8:39, we're almost pulling dead sideways, right? You have to treat it like a clock, and that will help you grow your mountain towards you, right? Versus just being a flat mountain off in the distance with no depth or anything, like someone, you know, likes to paint all the time. But we're not going to name names or do anything. We don't, you know, Josh is petty sometimes. Josh can be petty, but it's fine. It's fine. Everybody's petty every so often, right? So what are you guys thinking for a name for this? It's looking pretty fantastic if you ask me. Now I'm going to make up a little bit of our blue shadow, the blue and white, right? Just a different mixture because again, yours, you're going to grab up a little bit less blue or less white or more white. So it doesn't matter what color it looks like, right? It's got to be a little sky colored blue. Look at that, same kind of gorgeous color as our sky, at least parts of our sky. I like having my sky all different colors. You guys know me. Differences in what? What is it? Differences in color. I hope you're sitting at home screaming at your TV. Color! Color! Differences in color! That's what I want you guys to be doing. Okay, so we've got our blue shadowy mix. Let's take a little bit of that purpley color that we created and mix it into there. See how it just makes it go a little dull, like a dark, stormy day, kind of like this section of our sky, or this section of our sky, right? All these different little colors. Now I'm going to come back to the white. I'm going to grab double the amount of white that I just grabbed the first time. And then I'm going to scrape a little bit of that blue. Not a whole lot. You don't need it to be a whole lot because watch, that blue is going to want to take over so fast. Right? And we don't want this pile to be white. It's going to look white because we're going to put it up against this dark background and it's instantly going to look very bright back here as white, right? But we know in our heads that we've already pre-mixed it and that it is no longer white. It is like a off-whitish, grayish, very light blue gray color, right? But against these dark shadows right here, this is going to look white once we put it on our canvas. So don't worry about what yours looks like. Just make sure it's bright, but it's not pure white like we have up here, right? And let's decide, where do we want our light to come from? I think the last time we did a mountain, we had all the lights on this side. So let's do all the shadows on this side. We'll put all the light on this side, right? You got to do one or the other. Can't have them all the same. So let's take our shadows. Scrape up a good amount, right? Maybe like a 1/16 of an inch. It's a little roll. I wouldn't want to get it on my fingers, right? That's a lot of paint to get on your fingers. And maybe we'll take it up here right at the peak and stay about half on the edge of our peak and just start sliding it back, right? Shh, listen. So softly. I'm not even barely pushing on the knife. Look, there wasn't a lot of paint on there to begin with, but now most of it's gone. So we're going to wipe the knife off, going to go back and reload it. Same amount of paint, like 2 little swipes, just a 1/16 of an inch is all you really need. Come around here, stay on the edges of our little paint by numbers ridges that we created, right? And that way our mountain will look like we had planned on it when we get done. We'll go over here with that blue, again, maybe down in here, swiping it. Don't leave a whole big chunk though. You can scrape it up and then continue to drop it down. And if it becomes too thick in one area, go back, scrape it up, right? Just like this, really work at scraping it off the canvas. Maybe go back, get a little bit more. Dump it back on so you have that same kind of texture-y feel, right? Very cool, just like that. Work it down in those same clock-like motions, so, right? So we're up here, and we're here, and then we're here, and then the knife starts moving downwards, and then over here we're gonna be going a different direction, right? It's never all the same direction, is my point. Let's come in here, Maybe the whole backside of this guy was just covered. He's hidden behind this peak, so maybe he's all in the shadows. And who knows, maybe there's a little bit back in here, a little ridge, some little something back in our little valley for our highlights to play off of, right? You can't just have it all white or all blue everywhere. Never gonna work. Let's come up against the half side of this guy, just the half. Come down very softly, floating the blade over the canvas, only allowing that roll of paint to come down and touch, right? Just as soft as you can get. Almost like, just imagine you scraped up a roll of paint and you were gonna go touch a baby's face with it, right? Just as softly as you could possibly touch it, so the actual blade doesn't touch the baby's face. It's just the paint, right? And if you can do that, then you can really get it to break nicely, right? And remember, it's never going to be perfect. It's not a perfect thing. It doesn't have to be the most perfect looking mountain, especially when we do the shadows. You can always come back and cover over certain things and do different things, okay? So don't let it stress you out. Let's come back in here, grab up that white, right? Our mixture of the blue and white and gray. Scrape up a fair amount. Don't want to have too much for the top though. So just about the same amount as we had with the blue, especially for the top of the mountain. Otherwise it's very, very, very gunky, right? And maybe over here, all of our highlights are going to come up and we're going to grab so softly and just start to pull down. Oh, look, it's just, again, like I'm trying to touch a baby's face, right? I'm not trying to push real hard. I don't want to mush it all into the baby's fresh skin, right? We just want to softly touch it, like you're just not even going to touch the poor little kid. Ah, oh, so sweet, so lovely. All right, we're going to come up here on the edge of this guy. Long, light strokes will give you those very cool little breaky parts of your mountain. And then up here where it's very thick, like I told you, go back, scrape it up, come back in here, scrape up a little bit more and go over it again. Just like that, and let it break differently. See that? It's never going to be the same, right? It's never going to break 100% the same either. Maybe we had a little bit, maybe it turned, maybe it flattened out, so it's not just a straight line. There's a couple little sections of difference in that mountain, right? And if there's a little light area, then there must be maybe a little blue area behind it, underneath it, around the back of it, somewhere, right? Again, if you don't like them, you can always go back in, swipe it down, but at least you'll have a few little differences in there, right? And that's what Josh is always talking about, differences in color. Ooh, yeah, let's turn our knife and we'll go this way with the ridge. See how you can just change it up just by the directional swipes of your knife, and all of a sudden you have a different little patch of your snowy hill right here, right? Come a couple swipes across this way just to help create that round shape. Maybe that's like a little shadowy area back in here. So we'll just take a little bit of the blue and put it back there, and it adds just the coolest little things. I mean, you can't tell me it's not the coolest little effect, right? You add that couple little shadows, little nooks, a few little places where the light just can't get all the way to, right? So nice, so nice. All right, maybe around here, the sun started to peek out and we caught just a couple little bits of light. I'm going to feed it up into there. And again, you can rework your shadows, so don't worry. You can work it back across wherever you think the light's going to hit. Come up on the edge of this guy, so lightly floating and shaking side by side. Just like that. Look at that. It's very simple. And come down this way. Change it. Different strokes, long strokes, short strokes. What does yours look like? I always ask, what does it look like to you? Right? What's happening on your mountain? How is the snow playing? Right? Where would you go sledding? If you were going to go sledding down this mountain, would you want to come straight down the edge? That might be fun. I don't know. I might be down to do that with you. If you guys go, let me know. I'll tell London, like, babe, I got to go do something important. We're going sledding. We're going sledding down this mountain with all the followers. So let's go do it. And we'll see what happens, right? Let's swipe it over this way, just a little bit over the side, just so you have that little bit of light creeping over the edge, right? And it's not such a straight up shadowy line, that little bit of just creeping over, trying to grab it, trying to see what's doing back here, right? What is going on back on this mountain? And you just sit and play all day long for as long as you want. Maybe we turn it up like this, right up into this mountain, or come down this way and match it up again, right? Woof, look at that, it's like a glacier. Oh, it's very cool. A little frozen piece of something out there. Let me tell you what. There we go. What if we took a little bit more of that darker blue color and worked it back into, there we go. And you can start to change the harshness of your shadow. What color, how deep and dark are your blues back there, or how bright are they, right? You decide. It's very simple. You decide all by the swipes of your knife, right? Just like that. Very neat. I'll take a little slight bit of this, and maybe we'll put it along the edge back here where the sun was just creeping over the top. Because it's never just a perfect thing, right? It's never perfect. Be very flat with your swipes. There we go. There we go. All right, let's take that 2-inch brush now. Now remember, 2 inches is big when we're talking about brushes, ladies. I don't know about you guys, but that's a pretty big brush. We're gonna come up here all the way from the edge of the canvas. So slap the canvas, start sliding up in the opposite direction, right? So if you came down this way with your knife, if you're like, then you have to go going that way. So if you said shwa, and you gotta go shio on the way up, right? And if you make the cool noises and the karate noises, shio, shio, or that sounds like IndyCar noise, like no one's gonna be watching you, Josh. That's what we tell ourselves, right? Okay, now we're gonna swipe all the way again. All this does is just soften the paint the smallest bit, right? You don't want it to be just as textured all the way off in the mountain as it is in your foreground. It's not gonna make sense to your brain. Now, you guys don't have to do this part. You don't have to very lightly swipe your mountain in the same angles, just softening it, right? You don't have to do it. I've done this for 4 years now, and it's taken a while to get that same amount of touch, and I still mess it up sometimes. So you don't have to do it all the time. That kind of looks like a heart shape in our like gouge in the mountain. That's kind of neat. Okay, we're gonna take that same brush. We're gonna come over here and just start tapping, right? Grabbing some of that blue, working its way down, right? Tap, work it down. Tap, work it down. Work it down. Work it down, baby. Who has OCD? We're gonna count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? Count with me, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? What are we doing? We're just softening the paint. Just softening it, dabbing it, letting it blend in. Right? Remember, if this is your first time watching, or you're just tuning in, or you just scrolled to this point, tell us what time it is, where you are, right? Where you're watching from, and what's your favorite sandwich. So if you're watching from Philly and your favorite sandwich is a meatball sub, then tell me, I want to hear. Again, we're gonna come and tap, and every time I'm tapping, you guys should be tapping on the screen, and at least make sure if you're watching on YouTube, you got that thumbs up button highlight, right? Just like so, we're tapping it in at a different height across the entire mountain, so it's not just a straight old line, right? Adding those couple little differences in color, even though it's all blue, there's all sorts of different blues happening back here. And that's the fun part, even going above our horizon line. Maybe we just created a new little bit of cloud that could come in around the edge of the mountain. What does yours look like is what I always like to say, right? What does yours look like? Because yours is the one that we're worried about here, not mine. No one cares about what mine looks like. We're worried about what yours looks like. Let's wash off the old brush. And remember, if this is your first time watching a Paint with Josh video, tell me where you're watching from and what's your favorite sandwich, burger, or pizza. Hit me with the comments right now, whatever platform you're watching on. I'm going to go ahead and make our little purpley color a little bit darker with some more crimson, black, and blue. Since we only have the 4 colors today, you have to make your further away mountain a little bit lighter and then start working towards with darker and darker and darker shadows with brighter and brighter and brighter highlights on top, right? So we dimmed our highlights to not be pure white back here. So by the time we get up front, our pure white's going to stand out. That may be why you don't have any depth in your painting, is because your white is the same amount of white everywhere. And that just doesn't work when we're doing a painting, right? Look at this, pure white right over the top of that blue. Just to fix a little happy accident we had. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. All right, we've taken up our color. We've mixed it. We've mushed it. We've scraped it. Now let's come in and make some cool trees with it, right? And run the brush right through the paint, just like this. Nice and slow. Slow down, Josh. Just like that, running it through the whole brush, working it deeper into one corner than it is on the other, right? So it's thicker over here than it is over here. Still got paint on the brush though. Let's see. All right, we're gonna take that brush and we're gonna come from our side over here, right? So take it like this, knock the camera over, and maybe come in, but not starting from the edge. You don't have to start from the edge, and we're just gonna pop them up and down and up and down. Maybe turn the brush over every so often. You start losing your cool little sharp bits of paint, turn your brush over, or go back, load it up with some more. Maybe come down in here. Little taps, little things, different heights, right? Never all the same. You don't want to make it all the same. There's no forest out there that just grows all the same height. I don't believe it. Show me the details. I don't believe it, right? Just like that. You can bring it across. Don't go all the way to the edge, though, right? We'll fill in all this base with our dark, shadowy color, right? And that way we can't see. Listen to that ASMR. Just, you guys better be tapping the screen. Every time I'm tapping, you better be tapping, right? We'll just sit here all day. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Make them go all the way to the edge. Fine, Josh. Make them go all the way to the edge. You know what? Let's go over here. We'll go. Since there's still enough paint, we'll just go all the way to the edge and fill it all in. Why not? Bam. Right? Lighter over here, darker in the center, and now we're going to come back and soften it. And by soften it, I mean flatten it with our brush, right? So take your 2-inch brush, just like this. You come, turn it over, start from the bottom, swipe up very softly, right? We're not trying to smush the whole bit of trees, not trying to make them go away, not trying to move it, just trying to take away a little bit of that texture, really. And we're gonna come in with the same brush, tap, 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 bringing it down. This is how you paint 999 trees, right? Not 1,000, 999 trees, how many we painted right there. All right, maybe 78 trees, I don't know. Somebody, is there a treeologist in the comments? Somebody hit me. How many trees did we actually paint right here? Can somebody pause it, count every single tree, and then type it into the comments? And that way I'll actually know how many to write down. Because I always put paint 1,000 trees in a minute, you know what I mean? And it may not be 1,000, it may be 839. What's your favorite number? One between 1,000. Type that in the comments below. Type your favorite number, and maybe in my next video, I'll be like, here's how to paint 338 trees. And you'll be like, hey, that's my favorite number I wrote in that guy's video. So comment it below. What is your favorite number, 1 to 1,000? All right, 1 to 1,001. I'll give you one extra one, all right? 1 to 1,001. I'm gonna swipe this guy to the side, just like that. Oh, look at all these differences, you guys. Different blues, different grays, different things. What's happening? Do we have a little bit of water back here? Well, if we take our brush and we pull straight down, just bringing down those little bits of reflection and go over so lightly, you get a very soft little bit of reflection in here. And it really helps, Josh, if your horizon is straight. There we go. Very cool. Right? Now really just to seal in that's a little bit of water back there, we're going to take our knife. This is just pure titanium white, not a whole lot. I mean, look, I barely touched it. We're talking about like 1/64 of an inch. Very small amount. Because I just want to leave the smallest little white line off there, right? Smallest little thing you could possibly leave. No paint at all back there. And then I'm going to take one clean dry brush, and just like we do our contrails, we're going to swipe to the side a couple times and then just straight across. All we did is soften it, push this whole thing so far across that little bit of water. Now you're like, man, how much depth is in this painting? My goodness, right? Okay, we're going to come in, we're going to scrape up all this purple and the blue. Just clean up give ourselves a clean space to work with, right? Even though I have this whole giant palette, I'm choosing to work in a 5x5 inch circle for some reason. Let's put it over here. There we go. You actually know the real reason is because I got paint on my Paint with Josh sweater from holding the palette up too high and getting the brown on it the other day. I was so bummed. I was so bummed. All right, here's the secret, guys, to having foreground stand out from your background. We did black, crimson, and blue for our background. We're going to do black and blue with no crimson for our foreground, right? And that way it's a darker bit of that blackish color, and it's going to stand out as much closer than any bit of dark purple that we have back there. And I mean, it's not, you can't even barely tell, but when we put it on up here, it's gonna be much, much, much darker. So again, black and blue, mix them up, and I always forget how many trees we have in this painting. There's a lot. So make a big old pile, right? And really mix it up. So much so that it wants to fall on the floor. And then we're gonna get 2 different size fan brushes out. So if you've got your pile already mixed up, go ahead and grab a big, a size 8 or a size 10 or size 12, and then make sure you get half of whatever that was. So I like using the size 12s, 12 or 14, this is a 14, and then I'll use a size 6 to highlight it with, right? And that way you get a lot more small details inside of your tree limbs. It's really cool. Stick around, you're gonna see something neat, okay? Now we're gonna come in here. I don't wanna make it exactly the same as the other painting that we did, but we'll make it similar. So let's take our brush, run it through that dark color again. Remember, this dark color is much darker and more rich than our other color is. And maybe back here, we're gonna pop in just a little tree lived off on the side over here. Just with a straight line down, right? Make sure we have a nice axe blade of our fan brush, just like that. I'm gonna come up here and just very lightly start tapping upwards, right? And then we're going from right to left, spreading out. The more we get down, the more I'm pushing against the canvas. And the more those little branches are starting to stand out, right? And they reach. And the more you push, the bigger your branches will become. So let's come back in here. I'm gonna load up the brush again. And who knows, maybe we'll add him. We'll give him a little friend. Just a little friend, right? Maybe he had a little buddy right off here. A little lean on him too. He got stepped on by a moose when he was little. I love when Pops used to say that. Stepped on by a moose. There we go. Side to side, popping it out. More pressure as we go down. And make sure you come down below your horizon line. See how I almost didn't do it? Come down below that other horizon that we have back there. And that way this one will stand out as in front, right? We're above our forest and we're below our forest, so we're gonna be in front. All right, let's see here. What do we want our ground to look like? Let's take that same old 1-inch brush we haven't washed a single time yet. Come down here and swipe it down. And then all of a sudden, you can start to build your little snowbank, just like a clock though, remember guys, right? Going this way. Now maybe, what if we took it and we pulled it off to the side this way? And now you've got this cool little ridge in your snowbank. What's happening over here? We'll figure that part out when we get there, right? Maybe you want it a little bit darker, a little bit brighter, a little bit different, a little bit richer. Right, just add that little bit of color in there, make our shapes, our downward strokes, and then flattening out over here. And you can start to build what you want your scene to look like. And this is how I did it in the beginning. I made this thing, and then I went, holy cow, that looks cool. I should try doing this again. And then you try different things, you swipe it a different way one time, and then you step back and you go, oh man, I got to remember how I did that because that looks really cool, right? And then you'd learn that, by failing. Failure is the best teacher, they always say. All right, we're gonna take our smaller brush, our little size 6 fan brush, just like that. Remember, if this is your first time watching, make sure to tell me where you're watching from and what's your favorite sandwich, burger, or pizza. Type it in the comments below. And not a choice between all 3, but like, oh, I love a bacon burger or a double cheeseburger, or, I want a Hawaiian pizza or pepperoni with jalapenos. That's my pizza, man. So hit me with your pizza. All right, we're gonna come in here. We're gonna grab up that liquid white, just like that. It's very runny. It's about to drip off the brush, it's so runny. And we're gonna drop that over here, and we need to make up a few different colors again. We need to make our bluey shadows, right? So take a little bit of blue, put it over on our blue side, grab a little bit of that liquid white, just start to mix it in. You mix it in on both sides of the brush, and it becomes very wet and very watery compared to how thick it is up here, right? And so once you have that on the brush, not all the way up the bristles, otherwise it's really harmful if you have too much. Again, this brush has too much paint on it. All right, just to show you, I'm gonna wash that off because you can have too much on the brush and it'll make a weird shape looking tree branch, right? And we're gonna come back, grab up some of that liquid white, come in here just on the one corner of the brush, kind of tilting it down, just so we have it just like we like to do our clouds on the one side, right? And then we'll come up here, and if all of our shadows are on these sides, we'll tip it and we'll just start touching a little bit of that bluey color, popping up, letting all those little fingery arms grab the little bit of blue paint, right? About half our tree is in the shadow, and then half of it will be in the blue. It's fantastic. Right? Get a little bit more of that liquid white. Come back in here, a little bit more of our blue, because you got to have the right mixture. It can't just be all liquid white. And it can't just be all thick blue. It won't stick, right? So just like that, come over here, maybe touch the back of the tree, and then just start popping up little bits of shadow, little bits of blue that never got covered up, right? Just like that, right on the edge of that. Oh yeah, perfect, right on the edge of that guy. And that way, half of our tree is blue, right? The back half, right? So the right side is a little bit bluish white, and that's all you really need in order for it to stand out as a very depth-filled shadow by the time we get over here. Watch this. I'm going to make up a little bit more of our highlighty color with our white. Scrape up the smallest amount of that blue again, just so it's not pure. Ooh, this, I've wrapped it into the pink, so now we're going to have a little bit of pinky color there. Oh, that's pretty. Look at that. Just a happy little accident, right? Didn't mean to drop it into the crimson-y section right there. I didn't even think that paint was thick enough to even mix in with what we had on the palette. So, a little bit of our white. Scrape it up, because you don't need it real thin. You want to have it in a little pile. It's easier to drag from. Grab our liquid white, just on the one corner of the brush again, right? And then take that one corner of the brush right through our thick paint. And that way it'll become nice and watery, just on the one side, right? And we'll come up here, tap on the top, and then just on this side, we're going to start slapping up, back and forth, right to left. Every so often you come out of the shadow. You don't try to cover up all of the shadows, right? Just a couple little things, a couple little bits of brightness. Never want to make it too bright. You'll have too much shadow or too much snow on your branch, right? This guy needs a little bit of darkness underneath that little bit of branch. And you always have to leave a slight separation of color. So if you have a little bit of white, leave a little bit of darkness in between. And that's a good way to split up an area where you plopped on too much white accidentally, right? I do it. Do it all the time. There we go. All right, now we need to wash the brush off again, because we're really only, when we're using that one corner, it's hard to rotate the brush over and use the other side, at least for me. So I'm going to come back to that same white with more liquid white and mix it in nice and soft. Just like that. Just on the one side again. Come over here, tap, just so we get a little bit on the tip top of the trunk, and then just start slapping little things. And this guy, we're not going to see much of because he's behind this other tree, right? We're not going to see so much of it. It's not a whole lot's going to be lit. Very cool, just like that. And then we can take, you don't want to use our liquid white for snow. So it's very tempting to take all that white and lay it down here in our snow, but it's going to be too wet. The paints we use are very, 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 very dry and very hard. And you don't want them to be too wet. Let's take a little bit of white just on the edge of the trunk. If we can get the smallest little bit. Oh, gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Now, we still have a lot of paint right here, so why don't we take it, we're going to dab it into just the top corner of this half round brush, and then we'll come up here, and we'll just start popping in a few little things, leaving distance between our water line and shoreline back there and our bushes in the front, right? Don't want to cover everything. If I cover up all that bit of water and depth, then what was the point in putting it all back there, right? Then you have this nice little bit of bushes out in the front. Very cool. Very dark at the bottom, right? Then we're going to come in here, and then we can decide again where we want our little bit of snow to live. Are these bushes back against there? Or if we put a little bit more paint here and work our line down a different direction, then what are they going to look like? How are they going to change? Right? Very cool. Soft little bit of just a wintry, almost a frozen lake out there, right? Very neat. This guy I'm going to blend a little bit more, just pushing a little bit harder, right? Dragging that paint a little bit further to the edge. There we go. And that way it blends in with this blue down here, and all of a sudden we've got our snow. We don't even really need to paint anything. We just kind of highlight it, right? And we can do that by taking the white. Again, this is why we save that pure white until we get to the front. Pushing it down in that one direction, loading the brush full of paint. And maybe we'll come up here, grabbing it, sliding it down, letting it blend in, lighter pressure as we get to the edge, right? So it becomes darker over here. Now all of a sudden, look at all those cool little things. And then you got, if you add just a little touch of blue to your brush, along with that white, and throw it along the back side here, that just a small bit of blue though, doesn't need to be super blue, right? Just like that. You got a cool little bit of shadowy little hill that we made out of nothing, right? Didn't do anything crazy. Literally made it out of nothing. You can brighten areas if you want. All depends on you. What do you want it to look like? That's what I always say, right? Now, the easiest way to make it look the most natural is to feed it back up into the trees, leaving little teeny tiny streaks that are sliding back into the tree. And if you ever leave any marks like that, guess what? There's so much white right here and on this brush, anything we put right here is gonna blend out. So cool, very neat. Let's get a little bit of that white, and maybe it ended up just back here. Oh yeah. Like the light came over the top of the hill and lit it up a little bit, right? And then we'll feed it up until you like the way that it looks, till it blends right enough for your eye. Man, that's a cool looking one right there. There's so many little things you can do, little differences and little changes you can make to make your painting go from, you know, trying to recreate a painting until, you know, now this one's gonna look a lot different than the other one, just based off our cool little hill right here. Just based off the directions that we pulled, right? That's all we really did. Pulled it in a different direction, and then all of a sudden, poof. All right, let's make up a little bit more of our bluey shadows, and you can use more blue in the front, right? We want the shadows to be much darker blue in the front. So as I say, we work from our lighter colored darkness to our deepest, darkest shadows, light to close, right? Far back there to up close. It's got to get darker and brighter. And I try to tell you and have it make sense, and most times I don't know how to explain it. Just like that. We're going to mix that up. Now I'm going to grab our half round brush that we just washed, nice and clean. I'm going to go into our liquid white. Right, dab it in, not a whole huge amount, but enough. Enough's in there. And then I'm going to come in and just work it into that bit of paint. Now that whole little pile is now inside here, and it's very wet. And so when I come up to my shadows, I just want to touch very softly. Right? And whatever comes off is going to come off and stick on there. And that's all you really need. You don't need to push real hard. When you push hard, that's when you start making all that mud, because you're mixing all of those paints together. If you're just very lightly touching and it comes off, then you haven't disturbed your shadowy paint underneath. And that's the way to keep your highlights and your shadows from mixing together. Take it to the bank. All right, now we're going to come back. We washed off that brush, came back with a little bit more liquid white, and now we're going straight into the titanium white pile, tapping that in because maybe the tip tops of these guys had like a little bit of light on them. I don't know. It got lit up over the top of the cloud or the mountain or wherever our light source is coming from. But it just adds that 3-color shadow. White, light blue, dark, right? Gives you that depth. It's all about the 3 Ps with Josh and the 3 depthful shadows. Actually, we probably need a little bit more right over there. Oh yeah, got really bright right on the edge. Oh yeah, right, wash that off. Probably put this brush away because we don't need it anymore. I just like to beat the devil out of it. It's fun. It's a fun brush to do that too. Very cool. All right, let's put a big old tree in on this side. Maybe we'll call this one done, right? We've got all this paint still, so we're going to come through here, very lightly wiggling it, jiggling it, loading those bristles. It helps kind of split the bristles apart and get the paint in there very softly. Wiggle, wiggle. Come on, ladies, sing it with me. No? Okay, no one's singing. Okay, let's take our big old brush like this, and maybe we'll come up here and just drop down just a crazy old straight up line, right? There's your bravery test. You got this gorgeous little painting, and now we're putting this huge line through it, right? Then we're gonna come over here, very lightly, just start smacking up at the canvas again. And then as they get bigger, you start moving down, pushing a little bit harder. See how that dark color stands out away from the darker color behind it? Because we didn't use the crimson, right? Shh, don't tell anyone else the secret. It's our little secret, guys. All right, and as we come down here, now we're using our full brush, which is why it's tucked behind my hand. It's hard for me to show you how to use the whole bit, right? Kind of turning it this way and then going this way, and it's rotating back and forth, changing the different angles of the branches, right? It's not all the same angle. Never want it all to be the same. And since this guy's the tallest and the biggest guy out here, you got to bring him all the way down, right? And that way, when we decide to pull out and slide out where he lives, right, out in the front, or, you know, the higher you pull it out, maybe he lives back 10 feet behind him where this section is, right on the edge of the water. Depends. What does yours look like? How many times am I going to say that today? Let's grab our 1-inch brush like this and come in here. Start sliding this guy out, right? I like to go underneath him just even the slightest bit, just to have a little bit of land up here in the front, right? Blend it in with that curve as we start going up the side, backwards and forwards, getting rid of any darkness or light areas that are right there. Oh, gorgeous, right? Now we're gonna come back with that small brush again. We're gonna load the whole brush this time. So we got paint all over the whole brush. We're gonna go through that white. And we'll do our shadows first since I've already loaded it with white, and then we'll come back to our blue pile over here. Okay, now we'll do our highlights first. There we go. And all of our light is on the left side, so we're just gonna start tapping up. Sometimes I'm not even touching the shadowy area. And then sometimes we're just tapping and we're making contact, and then we jump down. And then we make a little bit more contact, and we jump down, and we leave little dark areas and little light areas. And then maybe we flip the brush over, and we come over here, and we pop out, and we leave little bits of darkness and light. And so it's not all the same, right? Come in, you can fix any little bit, but you only want to do about half of your tree in the light, right? And then we'll come back with our shadows. And normally you guys know me. If this is your first Paint with Josh video, tell me what time it is where you're watching and what's your favorite food, right? A burger, pizza, what's your favorite sandwich? Let me know in the comments. Now, what you have to do here is come into our blue with that liquid white, right? Same amount, same kind of mixture, very bluey. We can even get a little bit more blue in here because it's just not as blue as I want it to be. There we go, very dark blue. And then we'll come over on this side, maybe tap just a little bit, and then come up here and just start dropping those same little things just on the reverse side of the tree, right? Little things, less little blue areas though. We're in the shadows back here, right? Little taps up, tappy trees we call them. Little taps. Just like so, leaving the coolest little thing, and you get this depth-filled tree, just like that, you guys. So simply and easily done, right? Josh says that way too much. Wash off the old frame. That did not come very clean. We had a lot of blue color in there. All right. Since we have a lot of open area over here, why don't we do just one more little bush, right? So we're gonna fill up our half round. Maybe we'll do a couple bushes. They like to have some friends. We'll come out here, drop in a few little bits, just like that. Kind of sit down in front of our tree. They can play, they can do all sorts of stuff, right? And we'll come back up here, following that same little line, because it's gotta sit on that same little hill, right? Slide it down, or slide it back, however you want yours to look. That's a cool little thing like that. Now let's wash off that brush. All right, there's got to be some foreground on each side. Get all the dark color off of there. We're going to come back into the liquid white, just dabbing it into the old Petri dish and coming back up here into that titanium white pile, dabbing it in. You got to have enough mixture of the titanium white and the liquid white to have it come off of the brush right. Oh yeah, look at that. Nice little bit of white. Maybe there's a little touch of white down in there. Just like that, right? We'll go back and we'll get our blue, finish our shadows on that little guy. Gorgeous. Right? We'll get our liquid white, go into our blue section, into our little bit of our just plain blue pile up there, and come back underneath and behind and fill in those little bits of blue color, little bits of shadow, little bits of differences, right? And then every so often, I like putting the smallest little dab of white in with that blue, and it helps give you just so much depth. All about crossing those light colors over the dark colors. Gorgeous. All right, guys. That was a good video. Now remember, what would you want to name this painting? You get the chance to name it right now. So write the name that you want to name this painting in the comments section. And I'm going to read the comments, maybe bring up one of the mods, and they're going to go through, and we're going to choose one of the names, and maybe we choose yours, right? It'd be kind of cool if that happened. So write the name on any platform you're watching on. You're watching on Facebook, you're watching on YouTube, you're watching on TikTok. Write, what would you want to name this painting? And let me know in the comments right now. While while I finish washing off these brushes. You guys load me up with some names and then I'll go through and shoot. Okay, since I don't have my yardstick, I'm gonna use a level. And this one has actually, it's a 24-inch level, so it's got a ruler alongside. You don't need to measure anything. I just need to use it to lay against the canvas, right? And then have a little bit of space in between myself and the canvas so I can come up here and make my little birdie family. Maybe we're flying right there.
Purple Haze was a recommendation for the name of the painting, Josh.
And that's a cool painting, a cool name. There we go. Wicked, flying through. Guess I don't need this.
Somebody early on put a name in and it was cool and I can't remember it.
Oh no. That's all right. All right, let's come over here.
Everyone in the comments, please drop your name suggestions for this painting. Get the old Josh Hancock on there.
Yep. The old JK. Let's see, we almost forgot to. This one is just ripe for a contour. And I usually do them flying that way, so this time we're gonna go from off here, like it's flying towards us in the scene, or flying with us in the scene. Gorgeous. Take a 1-inch brush. Gonna go 2 to the right and then 1 all the way across, right? 1, 2 to soften, then we grab it and we pull it and we slide it back and forth. Just like that. Get a cool little chemtrail, contrail, whatever you call it. Awesome. Now I gotta wash that brush again, dang it. There we go.
Another suggestion for a name is Peaks and Valleys.
Ooh, I like that. Peaks and Valleys.
My suggestion would be Evergreen Edge.
I like that too. You guys always come up with the best names. Like if it was up to me, they'd all be named the same thing. Here's what we use to clean
like
the
mountain something or peak something.
Yeah, right. You're like, oh, Sunrise Mountain, Sunset Mountains, something mountain. Okay. Now these brushes might actually come clean now that we have some more cleaner in the old cup. There we go. Beauty. Excellent.
Winter Wonderland.
I like that. It was so cold here in Las Vegas the other day. I really felt the grip of winter for sure. Let me come up here and fill in this little bit.
I couldn't believe during the London Candle Co. Live that there was snow.
Yeah,
like
it was snowing.
It's to me.
It had been a long old time since it had snowed in Vegas. At least big enough to see, right? It snows every so often. You might get a couple little snowflakes. But it was like blizzarding across the freeway. It was getting crazy. And it looked like Utah. And like, I'm from Utah, and I was like, man, this looks like home. It was just a nuts kind of thing for Vegas anyway. And it came on so fast. It was like day after tomorrow, that movie. It was like, snow came, froze everything. Everybody instantly froze to death with all the mammoths. And we were all eating our food. What about Winter's Haze? I like that.
Hey, there you go. That's a good one.
That's a mixture of those as well. Winter's Haze. All right. We got all the brushes clean. We got everything done. Let's spin. Oh, you know what? I always forget too. I clean all the brushes and then I realize I need a brush to do this top bit where the easel covered over. And then I have to clean another brush. Easy there, paintings trying to fall out of the easel.
The brush painting, the painting brush cleaning never ends for you, does it?
Never. It's always, I mean, I never leave them dirty. Like, so no matter how long it takes, I sit up here and make sure they're clean. Otherwise they'll get hard and they won't, act like they normally do. There we go.
If you're not purely set on a name yet, you've got 2 more recommendations. You've got Winter Flurries and Sunrise Valley.
Ooh. See, now what if we put Winter's Fury? Ooh, that's a good name. Winter's Fury. Winter's Hazy Fury Sunset. We'll just mix everything. So guys, if you're interested, this is painting number 660. 2. We're getting close to the mark of the beast painting. I don't know what that one's going to be like.
Oh, please tell me you're going to do something in representation to the mark of the beast.
I don't know, because
Freaking sweet.
London was like, are you just going to skip over it? Because it's, like in Vegas, everybody's very superstitious, especially the hotels. None of the hotels have a level 13, right? It skips from 12 to 14. They didn't even build a level 13. You know what I mean? Like, it's so superstitious around here that I might skip it. I might do some weird kind of like dark, sort of thing. I don't know. Let's see. So if you want to buy this painting right now, you can get it for cheaper, like Crystal was saying, than when I list it afterwards. So if you're going to wait until after I list it, or if you can't buy it now and you got to wait and you search for in my store, search for Winter's Fury, and that's with 1 R. If it was 2 R's, it would be Furry. Winter's Fury. That's what this one will be titled. Fantastic. Excellent name, guys. Thank you for helping me name it. And it's always a difficult thing for me to come up with names after 662 paintings to come up with another name. And let's see. So, Crystal, tell them where to go while I write down all these websites.
To find Josh, his after shots of the paintings, you can go to facebook.com/paintwithjosh. If you would like to check out his tutorials, he has well over 300 of them. You can go to youtube.com/paintwithjosh. And if you're interested in buying a painting, maybe not this one, you can still go to paintwithjosh.etsy.com. Check out all of his canvases. He's also got, do you still do the puzzles? I believe he still does puzzles.
Yep.
And he has merch. So if maybe you don't want artwork for the house and you want to just walk around wearing his stuff, he's got hats, sweaters, pillows, all kinds of great stuff over there. Oh. And we cannot forget about his lovely wife.
Of course.
Etsy.com. She
right
makes
there.
Beautiful pixie dust candles made out of coconut and soy wax.
And they're fantastic. She pours them live on TikTok, so you can place your order there and then go over and watch her make it live and then get it sent to you and then light it on fire. It's awesome. It's so awesome. So seriously, go to thelondoncandleco.etsy.com. The candles I think are about like $14 and $20, somewhere in that range. 2 different sizes. She does wax melt. She has wax melters. She's got all sorts of different stuff over there. And that's a great way to go support us without spending the big money for a painting. You can also support us by buying homemade candles with love from thelondoncandleco.etsy.com. So thank you, Crystal. I almost forgot, and she would kill me if I forgot.
I would never forget her shameless plug on her behalf.
My head is so hot right now. I can't even think.
Guys, you'll get to see the finished product.
Sorry.
Just a second.
Sorry.
Flip back around.
Sorry. Here we go. We should just keep it as the back, and then people will be stuck waiting to see it. There we go. Excellent. What do you guys think? Winter's Fury. Well, guys, I can't wait to see your version of this painting. It turned out fantastic. Make sure you send it into facebook.com/paintwithjosh. And until I see you guys again next time, take care. Have the rest of a good day. And ba-bow. Get up out of here. Ba-boom. The description down below. Make sure you get all the colors you need. Make sure you get your canvas nice and wet. Get ready to throw some paint on. We're going to do it just like this. Ba-boom. 1 take, Crystal. That's all we need. Let's do a couple more. Hi, welcome. Hey there, welcome back to Paint with Josh. We're on the radio. What's your request? Are you calling in for a song? Hi, welcome to Paint with Josh. Today we did a gorgeous 16 by 20 inch with a blue... Why do I try to describe the paint? You can see it with your eyes. You've already clicked on the link. I don't need to describe it to you. Let me just do this one straight up, Josh. Hi, welcome to Paint with Josh. Today we're... I could never do that.